Public Affairs programming on WQPT is brought to you by the Sing Group at Merrill Lynch, serving the wealth management needs of clients in the region for over 25 years.
Why all the hate? Tonight we talk to a man who tracked the radical groups within our society and putting human trafficking on stage in the cities. What many of us saw in Charlottesville, Virginia was an outpouring of hate and an effort to drown out that message. The clash between two very different cultures erupted with one woman dying, several hurt, and a man facing murder charges. Charlottesville is also offering America yet another chance to look at itself, to hold up a mirror, to ask the question, where does all this hatred come from? Trinity Lutheran Church pastor Larry Conway has spent a part of his life tracking hate groups. He's now the head of a Moline congregation, but had been an Army chaplain at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Also briefly the command chaplain at the Rock Island Arsenal in 2005 before starting a tour of duty that would take him to Iraq, Afghanistan, Qatar, and Kuwait. You have seen the world, you have seen all different types of people, and you have tracked hate. You say you were forced actually to track hate. You were ordered to.
Yes, I was ordered to. My duties at Fort Leavenworth as an instructor was to deal with religion and conflict, or more broadly, beliefs and conflict. Tracking hate groups was a subsection of that.
Well, I'll tell you the truth, when you think of hate groups, we really saw it rear its ugly head after the Oklahoma City bombing. When all of a sudden you're finding out about all of these militant groups that are all over the place, heavily armed, trying to almost create a sub-society besides the real society. But hate groups are more than just that, is it not?
Hate groups, according to the FBI, is any group whose primary purpose, to paraphrase, is to degrade, denigrate, obliterate, or otherwise cause harm to a group that is different than themselves. So there are all kinds of hate groups. There are anti-government hate groups, there are white supremacist groups, there are black supremacist groups.
And the one wonders, because we're hearing about the alt-left now, is this a new creation? I mean, can you consider the alt-left or Black Lives Matters or these counter-protesters, can they be listed as hate groups?
Debate is open. The Antifa, the anti-fascists, have been around for a while, actually. Yes, they use violent means. They claim that they use those violent means only in response to violence, that they don't start the rallies. They try to prevent them from getting out of hand or prevent people from being hurt at them. Black Lives Matter is a different animal altogether in that it's not violent, not intentionally, not meant to be violent. Its founder once said, and I heard him say it, that white lives matter too. That's not the point. Black lives matter. If you're a black person and you're worried about driving down the road for fear that you're going to be pulled over and shot, right or wrong, that you have that fear, hey, wait a minute, we matter too.
So you started tracking while you were in the Army, a chaplain in the Army. What did you learn? I mean, was it an eye-opening experience, and I'd assume that still is?
It is amazing, the breadth and the dynamics of hate, and it's also amazing the similarity in the underlying psychology behind it.
Meaning?
People have a need to belong. You take someone who's coming up through life, and let's say life hasn't been kind to them. They are feeling like they're at a dead end, like where am I going in life, or I'm never going to make a difference, I'm never going to be somebody, and then along comes this person who says, it's not your fault. It's that other group. They hate you. They did it to you. You need to return the favor to them, and then you will be somebody. Join us. And then you are accepted, you're given an identity and a purpose, but you have to accept that whole hate-filled ideology to do that.
It seems like you need two things as a component. Like you said, you need to have that sense to belong, but also you need to have that sense to blame. It's somebody else that is causing the situation you're in, or somebody is blocking you from being a better person or a better society.
Right. There is this evil you must defeat.
And so what's the remedy? It always seems that whenever you see any progress in civil rights, then you almost see like a pendulum swing the other way. And you definitely see that in politics all that time. Do you also see that in society? I mean, is what we're seeing now kind of a reaction to, let's say, 8 years of a black president, or greater rights for gay marriages, things along that line, different societal changes? We're more liberal there, and now we're swinging a pendulum to the right.
I think you can say that to a certain extent. Back in the Middle Ages, to show the Christian life, the choir would come in on a processional, and they would take 3 steps forward for the Holy Trinity, 1 step back for evil, 3 steps forward, 1 step back. Took them forever to get up there. But I think we have something similar in American society. We're getting closer, but it seems like you say, for every giant step forward, we take a step back. And it seems that right now we're unfortunately in one of those backward steps.
So is it just a backward step, or do you think that it is more than that? And you don't want to always just go into some mode of thought that, oh my gosh, if we have people who are opposed to the way the government run, you're going to yell out the word Nazi or Nazi Germany or Hitler, that it's that much of a swing. But is that a real fear right now from some people, is that society is just so angry right now that there is a little problem with our civil discourse as well as our governing?
It's always a danger. The reason Hitler won an election, a democratic election in 1933 in Germany, was as much due to the economy as anything else. A lot of people were afraid of losing their livelihood. Ironically, the people who had lost their livelihood, they voted socialist. They were committed to the Socialist Party. The people who voted overwhelmingly for Hitler were middle-class people who had not yet lost, but were afraid.
But also, a lot of people who supported Hitler also believed in his message of making Germany stronger. We were humiliated by World War I and the armistice that happened afterwards. We are being held down because of economic reason, because of these victors.
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of what you saw that came out of World War I into World War II. Are there that many lessons during that transitional period of time that we're still learning today?
Well, a danger is, if we were to go through a real severe economic downturn, I mean worse, much worse than what we went through a number of years back, people will reach for more extreme solutions. And here come the hate groups with their more extreme solutions. During the 1930s, the Great Recession, Great Depression, there were a number of groups. The German-American Bund was very popular. Huey Long had his private army of brown shirts in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. The KKK had a resurgence.
Actually, they were starting to decline a little bit.
In that period of time?
Their peak was in the 20s when they could march
All right.
50,000 people down the streets of Washington, D.C. So yes, it's always a danger.
Is it always also, I mean, because people want to be patriotic too. Is there a fine line between patriotism and nationalism?
I think to be patriotic means it's for all the people of this country, not just the ones I look like. It's for all the people of this country. I didn't raise my right hand and serve for 22 years for just some Americans. I did it for all Americans.
You were tracking hate groups of all different types. Did you learn anything about how to dismantle them or how to limit the threat of certain ideologies?
It is a hard one, because there are some dedicated folks who will not let go of the ideology regardless. Try to catch people earlier when they're still in the talking stages of hate rather than moving into the action stages of hate. Ridicule works well, humor works well. It's a fine line to raise awareness about these groups, but not give them the publicity they so desperately seek.
Well, not only publicity, which you do see, but you also wonder about the forms of communication. A lot of these groups have been working very effectively on social media. People who are disaffected may be in an apartment of their own, and their only outside world may be the internet and what they are receiving. Two questions along that way. Do you see that that has really helped proliferate nationalist groups and some of these hate groups? Is the message and the ability to use social media?
Sure. It's helped all kinds of groups, good, bad, and otherwise. A lot of organizations you would never have heard of now have a global platform.
And now you're seeing groups like Facebook and other forms of social media almost taking some of these people on, saying we're not going to have hate speech here anymore, you guys are done. Now you're starting to look at First Amendment rights, and there's a real slippery slope there as well. I mean, is this going to be a very interesting generation, interesting 20 years when we're trying to basically level out all the rights of every human being?
There's an old Chinese saying, and it's meant as a curse. May you live in interesting times. I think we live in interesting times.
Yeah. Is it important just to, I guess in a lot of ways you wonder that everybody deserves a voice and a viewpoint, but the real question is, when does that voice or viewpoint become hate, or when does it cross the line?
The way our government is set up, you can say what you want and not be put in jail for it. But when you say what you want, there can also be consequences. Your employer does not have to keep you on board if you offend the employer. And yeah, we're wrestling with that with new medium, and where do we draw those lines? Because if Facebook determines who can and who cannot speak on the internet, isn't that a kind of censorship?
It is a very interesting question that we do have to face. I also wanted to point out something else that was on TV as a comedy response to it was Tina Fey talking. You know, Tina Fey was on Saturday Night Live in a program and said, "Eat cake instead. Stay indoors.
Yes.
Don't counter protest. You know, I've got this sheet cake. This is all that I need." She said it far funnier than I did, but her point being, ignore them.
I would love to, but if we ignore them, then no one is speaking out, and the voices of hate can grow stronger and stronger. I think that nonviolence is the answer. I think assertion is the answer, not to run away from them, but not to fight them either. Stand your ground.
And this week you also had a public discussion, a little forum with people. Is that what you want to see more of? Is even just to discuss the general issues, because shedding light will only help?
I think shedding light on who these groups are and what they are and how they lure people in, much like a gang does. I think it's good for folks to know that.
Pastor Larry Conway, Trinity Lutheran Church in Moline, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
A career of tracking hate crimes as well as hate groups. Well, summer is almost over, and it's hard to say that. And although kids are getting ready for school, Laura Adams says there's still plenty of things to do in our area if you want to cut loose and go out and about.
This is Out and About for August 21st through 27th. Hi, I'm Laura Adams. Check out the solar eclipse streaming on the giant screen at the Putnam Museum on the 21st, or join the popular Astronomy Club at the Moline Public Library for solar eclipse viewing. Sign up for the Jordan Ron Forever Young 5K 1-mile race at Veterans Memorial Park in Atkinson on the 26th. While Bishop Hills Chautauqua celebrates the history of agriculture August 26th beginning at 11. The Aledo Main Street's annual Antique Days kicks off at 6 a.m. on August 26th, or catch the 64th Annual World Series of Drag Racing in Cordova August 25th through 27th. Vets on the River, an all-Corvette car show in LeClaire, benefits Vietnam Veterans of America, or join Farm Days in the Village of East Davenport starting at 10 a.m. on the 27th. The Temple Emmanuel Sisterhood hosts Laura Swift and her program on human trafficking August 21st at 7 p.m. The Quad City Music Guild holds auditions for their youth choir August 27th and 28th for kids in 3rd through 8th grade. The Black Box Theater hosts Comedy Thingy, All You Care to Eat, as they tape the next 3 episodes of their podcast on the 26th. The Circa 21 stage is busy with the rollicking musical 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, and on Thursdays catch No Business Like Show Business. For more information, visit wqpt.org.
Thank you, Laura. In a moment, putting the issue of human trafficking on stage, a Quad City playwright creates a compelling story that sheds a light on a seldom talked about crime. But first, we head to a different stage. Musician Chris Dunn is often featured on the community stage at the River Music Experience, and we spent time with him when he performed at the RME's Live Lunch. Here's Chris Dunn with All of Us.
Someone here has gotta see right through their fantasy. see right through their lies. Someone here has gotta tell it. There's a stink, now don't you smell it? Might as well be me. All across this stolen land, there's always someone who understands. It takes all of us, all of us, all of us to turn the tide. It takes all of us, all of us. Someone's gotta know right from wrong. Someone's gotta sing a justice song. So here we are. Thousands come from near and far, by foot, by plane, by bus, by car, to greet this Georgia day. In our cause we are united, from the duplicate to hide it, close the S away. We came here to tell their crimes, we came here to cross their line. It takes all of us, all of us, all of us to turn the tide. It takes all of us, all of us, all of us to turn the tide. So here we are. We came here with memory and visions of how things ought to be, a yearning to be free. Free of violence, greed, and hatred, replacing lies with something sacred for all humanity. Well, shut them down and then go on to sing another freedom song. It takes all of us, all of us, all of us to turn the tide. It takes all of us, all of us, all of us to turn the tide. It takes all of us, all of us, all of us to turn the tide. It takes all of us, all of us, all of us to turn the tide. So here we are.
Chris Dunn with All of Us. Human trafficking doesn't happen here. It happens somewhere else. That's a myth that the family resources group Breaking Traffic has tried to debunk time and again. Now the QC Theater Workshop is teaming up with Breaking Traffic to stage the story of one woman's world of confusion, desperation, and violence. The play is called Broken. It's described as unflinching, yet hopeful. And joining us is the artistic director of the QC Theater Workshop, Tyson Danner, and the author of Broken, Aaron Randolph. Both of you, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Aaron, I got to start with you. How tough is it to write a play that is so deep and has so many dark moments in it?
You know, it was a challenging process, and I described it once to Tyson. It's like submerging your head underwater. You can do it for so long, but eventually you have to kind of pull out and take a breath and reorient yourself, because it's an intense topic, it's an intense subject, but it was really rewarding to get to delve into this and write I think a really compelling story about the topic.
Well, Tyson, I mean, working with Breaking Traffic and Family Resources, I mean, that had to be somewhat rewarding to get out a message that really does strike at the heart of the community.
It was. Aaron and I were really attracted to the topic first. because it was something that we realized was far deeper than our knowledge about it. And that's always an interesting thing to explore. So we connected with Kathy O'Keefe, who's the director of Breaking Traffic, and she said, go, 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 do it. And we thought, okay, I guess we're going to do it.
And you're also the director of this particular production. I mean, how difficult was that as far as finding the right actors and really telling the story effectively?
For this process, we actually found our actors first, and then we wrote the play. So our actors helped us based on improvisations. They did a lot of research with us. They helped us create the play just as much as a playwright did or a director did. So they're a big piece of this.
Well, Aaron, I mean, obviously you did a lot of research. Your eyes were opened. So now you write this play. What do you want the audience to come away with? I mean, their eyes are going to be open as well, I'd assume.
Yeah, what I'm really hoping people will come away with is what you touched on in the introduction, which is, you know, there are a lot of myths and misunderstandings about human trafficking. Part of it is, like you said, it's something that happens in our community. And that was a huge, that was kind of the initial eye-opening thing for Tyson and I, is it is something you think of as only happening in some faraway country or a really big city, but it happens in every community in America.
And you kind of tell it through the eyes of not only the woman, but also her interactions with her mother, as well as some of the male relationships that she had.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of important to point out, because it's not, I mean, some people will say human trafficking is a victimless crime in some ways, and that it's really one person's decision, and you kind of take it further than that.
Right. Yeah, it's really, what we've found in the research that we've done is that human trafficking often is the result of a lot of forces in a person's life kind of pushing them into a situation where they're left with very few options. And it's, even when it looks like, you know, you look at something like prostitution and sometimes it seems like it's a choice someone's made. Well, it's a choice they've made in a terrible situation where there are no good choices. And really, they're forced into that because of all of the circumstances of their life, that they don't have, you know, a social safety net. They don't have a loving family at home. They don't have other paths to turn to. And then on top of that, you have societal issues where, you know, sometimes law enforcement can be, they're incredibly helpful in some cases, and in other cases they're part of what keeps someone trapped in that situation because they take a victim and make them a criminal. And so, you know, that's the really difficult thing about human trafficking, is that sometimes it's very obvious that someone's in that situation, and sometimes the cage and the chains that bind them are completely invisible. And so that's what we want to shine on with our plays, is help people to see that invisible cage that's trapped them.
Well, Tyson, Broken sounds just so heavy, so depressing, you know, and the job that you, as well as Aaron, that have is not to make it that heavy. Was that a challenge to find the humanity of it all?
At first, we were really bogged down in the stories we read and the interviews we did, and it weighed on us pretty heavily. Once we started working with our actors, who are all really talented, funny people, we found the humanity in the story, because even in the darkest times, there's still humor. And the most intense drama you could ever think of, I bet there's still humor in it. So this is the same way. It's the exploration of a whole life that includes humor and hope as well as trauma.
Yeah, because we said at the onset is that there is a hopefulness to the whole story. I mean, that's really important to underline, not just at the end, but I would assume somewhat throughout the entire production.
Right. We really explored giving our main character the chance to always make the best decision she could.
Yeah.
So with the information she has at hand, with the way she sees the world, she always made the right decision. And it leads her somewhere that she didn't want to be in. But we explore how she might get out of that at the end. I don't want to give away too much of the ending, but I think it's hopeful. I think there's possibility in the ending.
Protagonist and antagonist, I mean, it's very easy just to make it black and white instead of shades of gray. How did you try to prevent that from happening?
Well, part of it is in the structure of the story. We tell the story in a non-linear format.
All right.
So you're seeing bits and pieces of this character's life kind of spread throughout, and the way we've put it together, you see the darker moments of these characters' relationships, you see the lighter moments, and it's really more about following the emotional journey of the character than you know, beginning, middle, and end of their life. And by doing that, we're able to show you maybe the more human side of the antagonist, the trafficker of the play. We also, I think, take some interesting turns in the plot to where you're not always sure who is the antagonist in any given moment. She interacts with a lot of men in the play, and her interactions with them, you know, you might think this person's there to help, and you might think this person's there to harm, and those things kind of get flip-flopped throughout the play. So.
And you like the characters and the actors and actresses playing the roles. I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier that there was a little bit of improvisation, and they've really embraced the role either through the research or through their staging.
Yeah, they've been invaluable in helping to develop the piece. They're, you know, they'd sit down with the material I'd write, and they'd give me feedback, and you know, maybe take a line and just riff off of it and work with it. And so it's really given the play a real humanity that you can't have just by sitting and writing.
And a little depth as well, I'd assume.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
because they're bringing in their experience as well.
Yeah.
Broken is going to be the next 3 Fridays and Saturdays at 7:30, Sundays at 3 p.m., the QC Theater Workshop, and as always, pay what it's worth. I mean, that's been kind of your philosophy. How does that work?
That's right. You see the show, you have the experience, and afterward you decide how much you'd like to support it. It's important to us that anybody can see theater. Doesn't matter how many dollars you have in your pocket, you can come in there and have the experience with us. And luckily, for 5 years, it's worked great.
And this is a program not necessarily for small children because it has some adult topics and it's kind of heavy.
It's got adult language, it's got heavy topics in it. So.
Once again, Broken, the next 3 Fridays and Saturday at 7:30, Sundays at 3 p.m. at the QC Theater Workshop. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
WQPT is doing its part to support the military men and women in the cities who are serving our nation. We call it Embracing the Military. And on Tuesday, it's Military Spouses Night. It is held the last Tuesday of the month at Building 110, thanks to the USO. It's a night for crafts, games, and trivia for couples to enjoy with other military couples, a bonding, if you want. It's coming up Tuesday night, the 29th at 6 o'clock. On the air, on the radio, on the web, and on your mobile device. Thanks for taking some time to join us as we talk about the issues on the cities.
Public Affairs programming on WQPT is brought to you by the Sing Group at Merrill Lynch, serving the wealth management needs of clients in the region for over 25 years.